welcome to another video. So I am here today with my August 2020 TBR or to be read list, the list of books that I'm hoping to get to in the month of August. So there are a couple of caveats to this list. The first is that I am bringing over some books that were on my July TBR but I didn't get to for one reason or another and still want to prioritize. And then the second is that I am making this list slightly shorter, like numbers wise, because I want to be more realistic and actually get through all of these. I feel like in June and July I have made big lists of books that I've been really interested in but knew that I probably wouldn't get to actually finish those lists realistically. And in August I really want to just zero in on only a handful of books that I think I really can finish in August. It's also shorter because the books that I have selected are thicker. They have way more pages than most of the books that I read. And in August, I resume working. So August 10th, I start new faculty orientation at my new school. And then August the 20th, students are back. So lots going on in the month of August. And I want to make sure that my TBR list is more manageable than it has been these past couple of months. So to get started, one of the things that I want to note is that when it comes to making my TBR lists, I do have my reading planner here. And I make them on this list right here. So this is for July. This is how July is shaping up. And one of the things that I want to note is that I don't want to lose track of these books. Like, there are a lot of books I didn't get to in July, but something that was really unique about the month of July that I don't usually do is that I was participating in the F-a-thon readathon, and I had different prompts and different books that I was working on for those prompts, and the prompts really pushed me to look at genres and types of books that I don't usually read, and I don't want to just forget about the books that I put on this TBR list because I am interested in reading them and I do want to read them. And I don't keep any big master TBR list because that would just be overwhelming. There are so many books in the world and I'm interested in reading so many of them that I don't bother with that. I just kind of do this month-to-month thing where I pick a few that I'm going to read that month, and then every so often I have bigger goals for what I want to read in a year or something like that. So what I'm doing instead is I'm migrating lists of books from my original TBR that I didn't get to another tab in my reading planner that I have dubbed the TBR graveyard. And these are the books that I didn't get to but were previously on a TBR. I not only didn't get to them, but I am also not migrating them directly to the next month because some of these books that I'm about to talk about are carryovers from the month of July. But if they're not a carryover from the month of July and I'm not going to get to them super soon, I put them here so that they are on my mind, and these books that I have previously wanted to read but didn't get to are the first place I'm going to go when I have extra space in a TBR list. When I'm not doing a readathon or there's a month where I feel like I can do more reading, I will be sure to reference this list so that I don't forget them, because some of these are genres that I don't typically read, and so I'm not as likely to just see them and be reminded of them all the time, and I want to make sure that I don't forget about them. So books that have been migrated to the TBR graveyard and why I did or did not get to certain books will be part of my July wrap-up video, but I just wanted to point out that that's a new feature of my reading planner. Books that did not make it to the graveyard but are indeed on my official August TBR include The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. This is the first book in the Stormlight Archive series that is planned to be a 10-book series with a couple of novellas here and there, and it is hefty. So I first read The Way of Kings the summer after my freshman year of college. I read it because I knew that it was one of my boyfriend's favorite books, and we weren't dating at the time. We got together at the December of my sophomore year of college. So I read this over the summer so that I'd have something to talk to him about, and it is very good. This is the copy that I read. It is the mass market paperback edition, and I actually got it from my boyfriend because he hosted a fantasy writing workshop kind of class during the winter term at my college, and if you were in that class you got a couple of books for free as part of the course materials for it. and I got this book. And so this is the book that I read. I used this little flag to read it, and I have not read it since. So it's been like 4 years. No. Yeah, it has been about 4 years since I read this book for the first time. Right after I read this book, I read the second book, and then since then the third book has been released. So I read the first and second back to back, and then I didn't do any rereading before the third book. However, every time I talk to my boyfriend about this series, it becomes very apparent that I have forgotten a lot. There is a lot that I do not remember about this series. And in November, the fourth book, Rhythm of War, is coming out. And it's a really big deal. And I just have to reread the series because I don't remember enough about what's happening. So because I do want to reread the series, I have committed to trying to read one of the books each month so that by the time I get to November, I'm all caught up. So August, we start with The Way of Kings, and then I'll read another book in September and October, and then I'll be all caught up by November. If you have not heard about the Stormlight Archive series, I honestly have a hard time describing it. I do not know what it's about in a summary kind of way. I do know that The Way of Kings starts by focusing on a guy named Kaladin, who is a bridge runner. So there's these wars going on, these clashes between people and other people that, wow, this is how much I don't remember this series. There are these wars happening, or fights, I don't know. And his job is to be one of several people who carry bridges, like physical bridges that they run across fields to bridge chasms so that the armies can run over them. But that means that they're in the front lines and they're in a very highly dangerous place. Sometimes they're running for miles and miles and miles and miles, like all day. And if they slow down, they get punished, and they're at the front lines, so they are the first ones that the enemy shoots at. And it's all around like not the place to be. That's where we start, and other stuff happens. I have to reread. Alright, so that's The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. The second book that I'd really love to read in the month of August is The Rage of Dragons by Evan Winter. This book is a carryover from my July TBR, and still don't know a ton about it. It is an adult fantasy, and all I know about it is that it does involve this protagonist who has been portrayed as part of an army that he was trying to leave, but some of the people that he's with betray him, and he wants to get revenge. And so in order to work on acquiring that revenge, he works to become a very skilled swordsman in order to get into a position where he can enact his revenge. Additionally, this is a fantasy world, so there are dragons, and I believe that certain women are gifted with the ability to call down the dragons and like work with them, and then certain men are able to become physically more robust, like they can get bigger, faster, and stronger as part of this magic system. And that's all I know. So I'm so really excited to get to that. I have it on ebook. We're gonna do it. Oh, another note about The Way of Kings is that even though this is the copy I originally read, I will probably be reading this on ebook because it's kind of awkward to hold. This little version is a little better than the hardcover, but I have the ebook now, so I'm probably going to be reading this on ebook. The next book that I'd like to read in the month of August is also a July carryover, and it is Incendiary by Zoraida Cordova, and that's because I need to catch up on my Fairy Loot books. This is a Fairy Loot book and I haven't read it yet. This is from April? I think this is the April Fairy Loot book, and I haven't read it, and since then I've gotten the May and the June books that I also want to get to, so I have got to catch up. Again, this is about a memory thief, and I do not know what that means, but she is working with a rebel network in a kingdom, and there's a war going on, and I'm excited. I don't know a ton about this book either. And then the fourth and final book that I do want to read in the month of August is A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. So I am rereading this book. So there are actually 2 rereads on my list. And that's because I want to get to the third book. I haven't finished this series, and I first started it back in January. Read the first 2 books back to back, reread A Court of Thorns and Roses in June, and then did not touch this series again. It's on my July TBR. I know I will not get to it So I want to read it in August because I need to get moving. I want to finish the series and I just haven't. So this is on my August TBR because it does have some weight of priority. In order of priority, I think that my August TBR is first The Way of Kings because I need to read it in order to be ready for the release of Rhythm of War. Second, A Court of Mist and Fury because I have to actually get on with the series. I don't know why it's taking me so long to get to that third book. Fourth is going to be Incendiary because I want to catch up on my Fairy Loot books, and then the fourth book that I will read is The Rage of Dragons. So that's also the order that I intend to focus on these books. Then there are the two books that I want to read with my boyfriend in the month of August. So in July, we did manage to get through Season of Storms and The Fires of Heaven. So in August, I want to read Lord of Chaos, the 6th book in the Wheel of Time series, and not even halfway through the 14-book series. I cannot believe that that is how long this series is, and yet we're still growing strong and hopeful to get through Lord of Chaos in August. The next book that I want to read in the month of August is The Time of Contempt by Andrzej Sapkowski. This is the second book in the main Witcher pentology. I have not started Blood of Elves yet, but at the filming of this video, it's only July 24th, I think, and we're almost finished with The Fires of Heaven. That's what we're currently reading. So before the end of July, we should be able to get through a good chunk of Blood of Elves and should have plenty of time to spare in order to read Time of Contempt. And that's it. That's the entirety of my August TBR. It is 6 books total, 4 on my own, 2 rereads, 2 with my boyfriend. I feel like it's doable. I feel like it's doable because even though these books are hefty, this is a reread and it's a pretty quick read. Like, it's super thick, but it's not like, there aren't like a ton of complex pieces you're holding on to. It goes pretty quickly, at least from what I remember of it. This book is going to take time because this is hefty and complex and there's a lot going on in it. But I've read it before, so hopefully I will not take too much time reading it again. And then there are 2 new books that I'm excited to read. So that is my total August TBR. Let me know down in the comments what you plan to read in the month of August. And thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you next time. Bye.